Okay, so I have just signed myself in here. It's going to make sure that our lighting is decent and our audio. So as you ladies are coming on, if you can do me a favor, let me know that you can hear me and that you can see me. If you go down, there is a chat section. It's got like a little bubble with 3 little dots there. If you can click on that, okay, Paula, Leslie, Laura Lee, awesome. Can hear me and see me. Best news ever. Best news ever. Awesome. Okay. Oh, thanks, Judy. I just taught a booty class, so I'm like full of the endorphins. I have the glow from that. And I'm so excited to be talking to all of you tonight. I'm very passionate about everything to do with women's health and hormones. And yeah, so it definitely puts me in my best possible vibe and flow state when I get to do work like this. So I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. We are 7:30 on the dot, so I like to give everyone a couple of minutes to get themselves into the room, get settled, make sure they're all set up. I'm also going to encourage you to close out any other browsers that you have, your phone, all of those things, and to just let you know that you probably want to have some water nearby, maybe a herbal tea, although it is like 900 degrees today here in Ontario, so you might not need the tea. And I would definitely have a notebook and a pen nearby so that you can jot down some various things that I'm going to talk about tonight. Now, the beauty part about registering for this is that you are going to get the replay, which we will send out on Wednesday. Okay, so we're going to send it out Wednesday, not tomorrow, which is Tuesday, but on Wednesday, we're going to get the replay out to you. We have over 300 women that registered for tonight. No idea how many are going to join us actually live versus the replay, but it just makes me so happy because we only really started posting about this webinar about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 days ago, truly. And the influx of people that we have had join and sign up is fantastic. And what that tells me is that these are the conversations that truly matter. That as women, we are so curious as to what is going on with our bodies and why are we feeling certain ways. And, you know, that's what we're going to do tonight is we're going to dig a little deeper, try and keep the ship steered towards a few specific topics. We had over 50 questions that were submitted, and I tried to streamline it down as best I could. So I'm going to have about 8 of those that I was able to actually kind of group and take together that I'll get through. And I can answer questions that you also have about the hormone project and those types of things as well tonight too. So as you're coming all in, there's loads of you coming in. Hi, ladies. Found out about this webinar 15 minutes ago through my Instagram stories. Awesome. I love when that happens. I got messages from 3 women today from France, actually. And so my husband and I were in Paris about a week and a half ago, and we had posted at various, tourist attractions there. And so this morning I got messages from ladies in France who said that they had no idea who I was, that they discovered me because I was tagging things in Paris that they followed. And then they went to my bio and saw that I talked about hormones and got connected that way. So it's fantastic. In this world and day and age where I think sometimes that technology separates us, it's really beautiful in times like this when it can help to bring us closer together. Hi, everyone. Okay. Great. Good, good, good. Okay, so now that I know for sure that you can hear me and that you can see me and that people are all streaming in, I'm going to minimize my screen so that I can bring up some of my stuff here to help me keep myself on track. And then I'm going to open this up fully and completely for us to be able to actually get started. So I want to welcome all of you tonight. My name is Jen Pike. For those of you who don't know me, who only heard about me and this 15 minutes ago on Instagram stories, or because someone told you that you had to listen, I am going into my 21st year of practice. So I'm a registered holistic nutritionist, I'm a medical exercise specialist, and I am finishing up my functional medicine diagnostic programming. I have a specialization in women's health and hormones. It is truly my passion project. My company is called the Simplicity Project, and I inspire you on a daily basis to learn how to cut through the BS and how to create more simplicity and ease in everything that you're doing. So this is from your nutrition, to your movement, to your supplements, to your mindset, all of the things that make up who we are and what we do on a daily basis. Tonight, you are in store for what I hope is a really pivotal conversation and a big shift in your mindset around the type of questions I want you to start to ask when you're going to your primary physician, even to your naturopath, other colleagues, the conversations I want you to start to have with your girlfriends, questions I want you to ask your mom, your sisters, the type of conversations I want you to have with your daughters as well too. So I'm very excited about this. Before we get going, couple little housekeeping things. The first thing is we are using technology. Chances are something might happen. Don't panic and freak out. I have my my business wife, Vanessa, online here, who is my editorial and content producer. And so she's my tech queen. If something happens, most likely for you, you need to just refresh the feed here. You might have to sign out and sign back in. If it's on my end, I will do the same thing. I'll refresh, I'll sign out, and I'll sign back in. Don't freak. If we lose each other totally tonight for some reason, it's all good. We fix it on up, we send you the replay, so no need to worry whatsoever. I'm already seeing a cue. Oh, Vanessa's here. I'm like, I'm already seeing a question. It's Vanessa just letting us know that she is here. Okay, all right, so here we go. Why this webinar tonight? Here's how I plan these things out. Every single day in my inbox and on social media, I am asked very many questions, whether it is about periods, whether it's about menopause, perimenopause, the birth control pill, different forms of IUDs, thyroid issues, weight gain, why do I have hives, you know, why can't I exercise without feeling like I'm sick the next day, my hair is falling out, my waistline is ever expanding, my cravings are out of control, I'm not sleeping, my nails are rigid, I feel like I'm losing my mind, I'm anxious, I'm depressed, I have no patience anymore, I have no sex drive. All of these different things that just keep coming into the inbox. And it's challenging, I'll be honest, for me to be able to get back to everybody on a one-to-one basis. We try to do our very best that we can. So every couple of months, and it's happening more and more now, I like to just pool together the most common topics and questions that come in and then host a webinar on this. Because the reality is when one woman is asking the question, she is really speaking for many women. And if we never respond, and if somebody like myself and in my position doing what I do for a living, if we never create these platforms and opportunities for those of you who are really craving to learn more, you are so tired of feeling off and feeling like garbage. You're tired of feeling like you're not being heard when you go to other practitioners or to your family doctor. If people like myself and my colleagues like Sam Gladish and Jolene Brighton and Carrie Jones and all of these other, you know, fantastic experts aren't sharing what we know, you are never going to get any better. So we are game changers. We are disruptors, and not like, we're just going to be so badass and get out there and disrupt, but we are here to try and change the course of action that is happening for women's health. You know, really who I am, I could sit here and list off all of my qualifications, all my letters. How boring is that? Here's what you need to know. I am a passion-led guide for women just like you, women who have been dismissed, who have told somebody that they thought could help them, that they have no energy, that they are not feeling well. All these different signs and symptoms I was talking about that we will get into deeper. And they are told to either go on the pill, take an antidepressant, take a holiday, de-stress, get more sleep, and that they are fine, that everything is fine, their blood work is fine, that they're totally healthy. Meanwhile, you feel awful, completely disconnected, and you can hear that voice within. You know something is off in your body. This is not the you that you have always been. You also understand that, yes, as a woman, as I'm changing and going through different phases of, you know, hormones and my life and fertility and all of these things, that I'm going to feel different, but this is not how I should be feeling. I shouldn't be crying at the drop of the hat. I shouldn't be gaining 10 pounds a month. I shouldn't feel like I have no control over my body. I shouldn't be doubled over in pain from fibroids and cyst and breast tenderness, so constipated that I'm barely having any bowel movements, you know, dependent upon different medications, skin reacting various ways, all of these things that we're going through, and we're being dismissed. So that's who I work with. The women who come into my practice and into my programs, they're like the outliers. They're the women who have just been kind of cast aside and pushed over here. They're also the women that tend to go from practitioner to practitioner, and I'm like the last stop on their struggle train. And often I find that within the blood work and within the actual paperwork and the files of these women, if you look deep enough, that the practitioners they've been working with along the way at some point have made it note, difficult to work with, pain in the ass, hypochondriac, which just gets me even more angry, because I don't believe any of us would want to create something out of nothing in our bodies. So I really try to become the ears that have needed to be in your life, to listen, to be a sounding board. And sometimes that is what my role actually is for women, is to just be a sounding board and to finally feel like someone gets what you are saying. You know, when I'm saying I had 50 plus questions that came in tonight and so many of them overlapped one another, we all think that it's just us, that we live over here by ourselves in an isolated community where there's only one house and one body that's suffering, and it's us. And when you start to come into environments with other women, whether it's an in-person event like Ignite Your Life we just had, or a webinar like this, you start to recognize that this is happening to more and more women. And why? Why is this happening? It has literally become an epidemic where women are suffering, and where the gut health, the liver health, the adrenal, the thyroid, the hormone health is at the root cause of this. So we want to shift ourselves out of this way of approaching our health, like band-aiding it. Taking a pill to suppress this, which just moves it deeper and then it crops up somewhere else in the body. We want to start to be able to go beneath all of this and actually get to, where did it begin? I posted this really beautiful graphic yesterday morning on Instagram, and my Insta feed just like lit up from it. And it was a pregnant woman. And you could see inside her body was her baby, and inside her baby, there was like a tiny other little baby. Now, no, this baby was not pregnant with a baby. What this image was trying to depict and get you to understand is that you were an egg inside of your mother's ovary when your mother was a baby growing inside of your grandmother's body. This is the lineage of our health. This is the lineage of our mental, emotional state, our whole akashic, you know, past lives and energy and lineage background that really, truly does have an impact on how we're living now. We think about this from like a genetic standpoint. We think our genes are responsible for everything, when science actually shows that our genes, our genetic makeup, is really only responsible for our overall health and vitality, somewhere between 8 to up to about 20%. Now, what really truly matters, and why understanding this connection of this ovary, you being the egg inside the ovary of your growing mother inside your grandmother, is so important, is that the integrity and the quality of the eggs that we have in our body that are going to hopefully be released during ovulation, that one day might produce our children, that quality is really truly being established in utero. Now, I remember when I first heard this and I was like, oh crap, I've already screwed my kids up, right? Because who knows what I was doing in my body as my eggs were maturing and developing. But that's not actually how this works. As a woman, the day that you are born, you have your preset amount of eggs. You will not have any more eggs than you do on the day that you are born. But you will ovulate and release eggs every month, hopefully, when puberty actually sets in place. And we'll kind of talk about what this sequence is. Now, the way that we choose to wake up every day and to step into our bodies and to nourish ourselves, from the food that we eat, to the things that we drink, to the products that we're using, the environment and the people and the energy we surround ourselves with, all of those things are really truly what are activating our cells, our vital organs, and our systems in our body to either give them the fuel and the tools and the resources they need to be able to flourish and be healthy and strong and resilient and vital, vibrant. That's what we all actually want. We call it weight loss. We say, I want to feel good. I want to feel healthy. We want to feel fucking vibrant. We want to feel amazing. That is what the choices that we make every day are truly impacting for the long-term health of our bodies moving forward. So as a woman, when we look at this from a hormonal perspective, and I talk about things like saying, you know, we are truly at a state of an epidemic of women that are suffering from many different issues. And we're going to tap into a lot of those different issues tonight. Why would I say such a bold statement that this is like an epidemic? Because what's an epidemic? It means everybody is suffering and that it is like spreading like wildfire. And from what I see in my community, you have to remember, women are showing up to me not as the nutritionist who's just going to help them lose weight. That's not my thing. I am not a weight loss expert. I don't choose to be. I am interested in teaching you about your hormones, not how you can lose weight. I will teach you how to lose weight based on balancing your hormones, but the hormone and gut health have to come first. So when I talk about this from an epidemic perspective, I'm going to share with you a few of the sample questions that came into this webinar to paint a bigger picture for you. Does that sound good? Everybody can still hear me and still with me on this? I'm going to grab a sip of water. Do I have your attention up to this point? All good. Yes. Awesome. Okay. All right. So fully. Sweet. That is good. 100%. Fully. Yes. Yes. Awesome. Good. And here's the thing I say to every woman who comes into, I just got like my first goosebump of the night. It won't end there. But I say to all the women who come into my programs, you are not allowed to hold on to this information just for you. It is your duty as a woman to help to spread. You need to become an ambassador of our health, because all the other women in your life who aren't open to sitting on a webinar like this, who are sitting and scrolling on Facebook and comparing themselves to everything and everyone else, who are off saying yes to everyone else and not carving out this time for themselves, they need you. And so you have to uphold your responsibility and take this information and help to spread it out. Okay, so sit tight. I'm going to start to go through some of these that were submitted. Okay, so first one was like a very general one. Hi, Jen, I don't feel like myself. Something is off. My usual way of being is no longer working. My body is in pain. I'm in discomfort. Everything I used to do to lose weight and feel better is not responding anymore. I haven't had a good night's sleep in years. I am only 38 years old and I feel 68. I know my thyroid is off. My hair is falling out. My digestion is awful. I break out in hives regularly. I am constipated. I have no energy. I have every symptom of a thyroid issue, but my doctor says I'm fine and my TSH is totally normal. He won't test other values until something goes wrong with my TSH levels. What else can I do? Hi, Jen, I'm turning 51 next month. Over the last year, my periods have been anywhere from 23 to 40 days long, and one time even 71 days apart. I wake up sweaty about 3 nights in a row around my period. I've been battling my weight for the past few years, which has never been an issue before. I've given up unhealthy foods like sugar, breads, pasta, rice, potatoes, even fruit. I use fat-free, low-sugar salad dressing on raw vegetables. I eat lean protein, and I'm even consuming less than 800 calories a day and not seeing the scale budge at all. Cutting carbs doesn't work like it used to anymore for me, and exercise hasn't given me any other results other than knee pain. For some reason, my thighs have both increased 1.5 inches in 10 days, though no other area of my body has. And it is definitely not muscle, as she says. I'm also losing the ability to have any type of sexual sensation as well. My body might orgasm, but I have next to no feeling when this happens, other than the uncomfortable sensitivity that follows. It is also very depressing. Any suggestions? Thank you. Hi, Jen. I have painful uterine cramping around ovulation, and my doctor wants to put me on the birth control pill. I am 42 years old. What do you recommend? Hi, Jen. I'm on the pill and have been since I was 16 years old. I am now 50. My doctors had me stay on this, as every time I try to come off, my periods got heavier and worse. My cyst and my fibroids grew larger. I got hot flashes and huge weight gain and hormonal acne, hence why I continue to be put on the birth control pill. Help. Hi, Jen, I have painful fibroids and polycystic ovarian syndrome. I've been prescribed Fibrostol. This is the 4th woman yesterday who submitted a question like this. I am wanting to, it is hard to deal with my heavy menstrual cycles, and I'm wanting to start the medication, but I am greatly concerned for the side effects of my liver. What can I do? So this is just like a small snip of what comes into me every day. And when I get these questions asked, Women are coming because they want solutions, and they're hoping that I can just like send back a couple of quick sentences, you know, a quick paragraph and provide a solution. And I get it. And I wish it was that simple. You see, I know my company is called the Simplicity Project, and I pride myself on teaching you how to create more simplicity. But the simplicity can only come when you actually start to understand why the hell these things are happening in the first place. And I go through equal parts of being angry and sad for these women and frustrated with the way that they're being treated. But then I'm also super excited because every question I read like that, every single one of those that I just read through, in every cell of my body and my being, I know that there is a healthier, better, different way for these women. So when I read these questions, I oscillate from I get angry right away, and then I shift right into a place of potentiality. There's nothing but potential that I read in those. And how could there not be when you're taking somebody from this place of feeling awful for so long? Are you kidding me? There are so many things that we could do to even just have them feel 10% better. And when you are feeling like you're at your worst, feeling 10% better can oftentimes make you feel 100% better. So this is where I'm saying that we have an epidemic going on. The most recent two issues that I've had an influx of in my practice is thyroid cancer and endometriosis. So endometriosis, I think, has been building because so many women have been dealing with estrogen dominance, high levels of estrogen, either chemically and toxically induced, or a higher level of estrogen than progesterone in their system. And they've not been paying attention to the symptoms, or the people they're working with have not been paying attention to the symptoms. And they've jumped from program to program and protocol to protocol. And behind the scenes, this endometriosis has just been ravaging not only the uterus and the fallopian tubes and the ovaries, but working its way up into the bowels and causing many different issues. Because that's what happens, is it actually starts in the uterus and the cervix, and then can actually grow up out into the abdomen and into the bowels and the GI tract. With thyroid cancer, this is that women are suffering from adrenal exhaustion and adrenal fatigue, which really, if we were to break those things down, what that means is that there is a miscommunication happening in your brain. And I am going to go deeper into this tonight. But for so long, women have been tired, exhausted, depleted. They're not only are they the last person on their to-do list, for most women, they don't even exist on their to-do list. And so they just, you know, they have no energy, the hair is falling out, they're making everyone else food, but they're not eating themselves. They're trying to carve out time to exercise so they can have a little bit of something for them, but they're going too intense too often, and they're depleting. Then they don't sleep at night, so there's no time for actually rest and repair in their body. And it becomes this vicious cycle. And by the time that someone has actually been diagnosed through blood work with a thyroid disease, whether it's underactive, overactive, Hashimoto's, which is the autoimmune form of an underactive thyroid, this picture of unhealthiness has been going on for 5, 10, sometimes even longer years behind the scenes, but we've just been kind of shoving it down. I don't have time to feel like this. Or I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a career woman. This is just my rite of passage. This is kind of just the new norm. You just have to hustle and grind and hustle and grind. Meanwhile, your body has been like, hello, I'm giving you all these signs and symptoms. You know how you feel like shit every day? That's not normal. That's a sign and symptom. When are you going to press pause and actually pay attention to me? And unfortunately, we don't until something starts to go so wrong that we begin to dig deeper. And then we see it staring back at us in black and white and diagnostic. And then it's our like, holy shit moment. And, you know, even at those times and those moments when there is a diagnosis like endometriosis, PCOS, insulin resistance, which those are metabolic syndromes, when there is cancer, when there is, you know, Alzheimer's, dementia, those different things that are going on, there are still so many things that we can be doing to halt what is going on in the body, to make the body more resilient, to allow the body to be able to still be supported and nourished throughout whatever it is that you're going through. But it's never a single prong approach. It is not just one thing. And we have all been brainwashed to believe as women that in order to get your body back in your hands, you need to burn more than you consume. So you have to train harder and eat less. You have to cut out all of your carbohydrates. You need to go keto. You just need to increase all of your fat, have a little bit of protein, the tiniest bit of carbohydrates. You need to have 14 supplements in your cupboard that you need to take every single day. You know, all of these ways, but no one again is actually teaching us like, where did this stem from? where did this actually happen? Because yes, we can say it's the lifestyle of stress and that, but I can guarantee you it actually started further behind the scenes. So that's what we're going to start to go into right now. Oh, you're welcome. We are in a healthcare crisis. I truly, honestly do believe that. But we're all banding here together to begin to change that. So, okay. So for me, I look at this as I am here creating my life's work for all of you, but I am really, my big why is for my daughter. Is for my daughter who's going to turn 12 in a couple of weeks, where I am like, where's the book? Where's the one book that I can give my daughter to help her understand more about her body? Where are the other role models and mentors and people in her life other than just mom? Because we all know if it's your mom telling you everything, you're going to hear it with half of an ear and the rest is going to go out. And I know she's absorbing some of the information, but I need to create work that is impacting this world in a way where it's not only my voice that she is going to hear this from, it's not only my plate that she is going to see this modeled from. I need to know that my son, who is going to be 10 growing up, learns that respecting a woman and being a good friend to his girlfriends is not just about treating them with kindness, which is important, but also being empathetic and understanding that there are things happen differently in our body. I need them both to know what feels normal and what doesn't, what's common yet not normal, all of those things. I want my daughter to be able to be a vessel of information for her girlfriends who don't have this in her life. And so, outside of this webinar, like I sat to make notes for this webinar tonight, and as I look here at my screen, I wrote 5,975 words just on this topic that we are going to go into tonight. I am in the early stages of writing my third book, and this book, The Simplicity Body, is to me the book that doesn't exist for my girl and for my mom, who's in her 70s, and for my sister who is in her 50s, and for my nieces in their 20s and in their teens. A book that you can open up, a webinar that you can listen to that starts to explain to you from this concept of like where we all began, because we get so caught up in where we're at right now. And then we try to treat things like we target the way that we're doing something, and we try to go after one thing as opposed to non-specifically treating everything. This is how your body works. This is how your hormones work. Your whole endocrine system, your whole body is working as a whole, meaning that every one thing that we change is going to have a ripple effect on everything else. So instead of targeting our energy all towards the thyroid or all towards the uterus, we want to make sure that we're spreading ourselves a little bit in a lot of places so that we're creating an overall better tone and picture of health. Okay, if we try and just funnel on all of our energy into one area and we don't feel successful in that, we're never going to stick with it. It's like people who are trying to lose weight. And if the weight loss is the only goal, and you start to sleep better and you're feeling better and you've cleaned up your digestion and you're moving your body more and your sex drive is improved, but you're still not losing weight, you are still going to believe that you have not achieved what you've set out to do, and that there's still something wrong with you, that there's still something that you're failing at, because all your energy is focused on one thing. As where if we shifted that and we made the focus on, let's optimize your gut health. Let's make sure you have healthy fertility. So for women who don't even have a period anymore, whether it was through premature ovarian failure, a partial or a full hysterectomy, or naturally going through menopause, you still have a cycle and a rhythm every single month that you have to honor. We've had so many ladies reach out about the Hormone Project and say, I no longer have a period. Is this program for me? And I'm like, hell yes. Are you still a woman? Are you still breathing? You need this program, because I'm just going to plug in my little light here. Because you have to understand that our female bodies, like when your ovary production of estrogen and progesterone and testosterone and all these, FSH, LH, all these other beautiful hormones are being produced, they start to slow down. Your body doesn't say like, I don't need those anymore because you're past your childbearing years. You need that so you don't have cog fog, like cognitive fog, where you just feel like you're in a haze all the time. So you still have memory, that you still have sex drive, that you still have healthy breast tissue, that your body as a whole is still functioning well, the blood sugar is stable, that you don't have anxiety or depression and heart palpitations. Your sex hormones are still important regardless of whether or not you ever want to have children or you're past the stages of having the children. So your bleed, the uterine lining shedding, that is just one aspect of our menstrual cycle. That's not the be all and the end all. So we need to honor our bodies as a woman from the time that we are born and how we're supporting our little girls, all the way through to when we start in our menstrual years and go through our fertility years, perimenopause, which PS is going to be anywhere from like 8 to 15 years long, ladies. This isn't like a one-year thing. We have such a lack of education because we were never taught this in school, okay? And you were never talking about this in the lunchroom either, or when you get together with your girlfriends over wine. But that period of time that your body is starting to slow down its production of hormones, that the ovaries and the uterus are actually starting to shrink in size, and that this whole role in our body is starting to change and shift. It can happen anywhere from the age of 35, maybe you don't start it until 40, 42, 45, but the whole journey is typically 8 to 15 years. That is a huge hunk of time in our life where we can be preparing ourselves for it, where we can start to have a better understanding of how we need to care for ourselves every day, instead of, well, I'm not sleeping, I have hot flashes, and I'm gaining weight, and my period is now irregular. So I think I'm going through the change. I think I'm going through hormone or menopause right now, and then trying to react to the symptoms. We want to try and get in front of it. And if you're like, well, damn, I passed the front, I like bypassed the line, and now I'm like right in the thick of it, there are still many things that we can do. And same thing if you're on the other side of it. Post-menopause, it's not like you're just like, you know, I'm done, don't ever have to worry about that. This is why so many women have issues with mental health and emotional well-being and gaining weight and, you know, diabetes becoming an issue and dementia. And dementia is now stage 3 diabetes. So we know that a lot of these metabolic syndromes are deeply connected to what's going on to our hormones. My opinion on bioidentical hormones, it all comes down to the woman themselves. You need to work with a fantastic practitioner, a naturopath or a functional medicine practitioner, because these bioidentical hormones cannot be like a la carte, where it's just like generic for everyone. It has to be bio-individualized to you and your results. So your results in your blood work, your results in your urinary Dutch hormone paneling, possibly cortisol salivary testing, although I prefer the Dutch urine testing for that. So it all depends on the woman. Some are good candidates, some are not. It depends on what your current state of health is, okay? So let me go a little deeper into this. The issue that I think that we have now is that we label and then we treat. So we say, okay, like you have an underactive thyroid, so we're just going to treat thyroid. We know what that treatment is, Synthroid or levothyroxine. And how much better do you feel from that? Most people, not so much. So the problem is we're treating the paper as opposed to treating the person. You need to actually have a conversation with someone so that you can understand how they got here. Like, what is going on in your life? Explain to me your day to day. What's your timeline? You know, how was your mother's pregnancy with you? What was your health as a child? What was the environment you grew up in? Was it loving? Was it stressful? Were you shuffled from parent to parent? Did you ever feel heard and supported? You know, like what went on in your life that formed and shaped really your constitution as who you are? You see, we're not asking enough questions about the human living the life that's impacting the body, the cells, the genes, and the overall expression. We're just waiting until things, you know, fall to the wayside. We're running the minimal based test through OHIP here in Canada, and then we're judging based on those numbers. So I don't diagnose anything. I help to bring to light in your body where there's opportunity to heal. So I refer to it as, this is like the art of simplicity. And the art stands for assess, recommend, and track. So the assessing only happens through a conversation. And yes, if you have diagnostic, every single person I work with, on a private level on the Hormone Project, I analyze your entire blood work paneling. If I get that paneling back and it is not the full panel from your doctor, we send you through a request form to ask to have the additional testing. We also give you scripts, 4 different scripts, so that you know how to like build up the courage to ask for these tests, because unfortunately these end up being contentious conversations sometimes. But the reality is that we need to look upstream and downstream. So if you have major digestive issues that are going on, yes, the gut needs to be a primary source of where we restore your health, but what is the trigger? If your big issue is acne, what is the trigger? It's not lack of good skin cleaning. Okay, what's the trigger that's contributing to the acne? Is it a congested liver? Is it high androgens and male hormones? If you have hair loss, what is the issue? It's not your shampoo that you're using. Is it that you have low iron, low B12, right? Like, do you have systemic anemia? Are you low in minerals like zinc and selenium, vitamin E, vitamin C? Are your adrenals kind of going kaput? Do we need more B vitamins in your system? You see, we don't realize that we have these deficiencies first that cause these signs and these symptoms. So if we treat the signs and symptoms without actually addressing the deficiencies, we just bombard organs like the gut, the bowels, the liver, and the kidneys, so many of our filtering organs, because we just keep jam-packing more products and more supplements and more things inside of us, as opposed to freeing up all of our vital organs and systems so that they actually can, like, oh my God, thank you. Like, I'm so freaking tired. You give me so much work to do all the time. The reason I make you feel like garbage and you have pimples popping out everywhere and I can't grow any more healthy hair and I'm gaining weight and I'm puffy and swollen everywhere is because I'm damn tired. You never give me a break. And then you lie down and you lie on your phone and your iPad. You're catching up on Netflix. You overstimulate me. You never give me sex, which is the only way I want to be stimulated at night. And then you wake me up in the middle of the night and tell me I have to go pee. And then you show me light again and you put me on my feet, which suppresses my melatonin production. You jack up my cortisol, my stress hormone, and then you lie me back down in a bed and you expect me to fall back asleep. You've just woken me up. You get me up in the morning, you jack some caffeine into my system, you slap some butter in it and think you're doing a better job. You go about your day, you try to intermittent fast before you even first know how to eat healthy in the first place. Now you're just taking more and more away from me. All you're giving me is fat and protein when, like, hello, my adrenals are gassed. I need some freaking carbohydrates and some B vitamins. You never give me water because you're always looking for something sugary and flavory. And then you get home at the end of the day, you really haven't fed me well. You inhale a brick of cheese while you're making dinner for everyone else. You sit down, you eat a second meal, you gift yourself with a glass of wine thinking that that's a good thing when really it's adding to more of the estrogen problems, more of the liver detoxification, bigger issues with releasing and letting go of those chemical hormones. And, you stay up late at night. Does this sound like anyone you know? Anyone? Like, we've all been there. We've all been there. And this is what I'm saying. Like, everyone thinks they're so different. And then you hear this scenario, which, by the way, my voice talking was I was being your body. That was your body coming through me vicariously. But it's like we're all living the same kind of shape of a life, just at a different address. And so everyone's like, do you have a camera in my house? I'm like, no, we're all human doings as opposed to human beings that are living the same vicious cycle over and over again. And we're expecting a different result. It's like we live the day that I just explained. And, even if you're eating really healthy and you're exercising, you're like, well, I don't do those things. I guarantee you there's some of those things that you do, or you've done the opposite now where you've just become so vigilant and so hard on yourself and you micromanage every little thing that comes into your body, but you've yet to look at the big stuff. And why would you do that? When you stand in the lineup at the grocery store and you're looking at the magazines, they're not saying to you, have you done your Dutch hormone test yet? Have you really taken a strong look at your gut health? Do you know that if you were on the birth control pill at any point in your life, it forever changed the DNA in your liver? Do you know that if you were ever on the birth control pill for any period of time, or had a copper IUD or a Mirena IUD, or had the depot shot, or had patches on you, or any synthetic hormone that was in your body for fertility, for insulin resistance, for polycystic ovarian syndrome, that has forever impacted the way your endocrine system will function, and that you have to dig beneath that and now undo some of those doings? That's not something that's going to sell in the magazines, because we'd all be like, oh my God. Right? Probably how you're sitting there right now, like that big gulp. Listen, I was on the birth control pill for 7 years. I remember the exact moment I decided to come off of it. I was having a holy shit moment like this right now, listening at the age of 22 years old to my instructor talking about estrogen dominance. So this was 16 years ago. Wait, how old am I? Yeah, 16 years ago when I came off the birth control pill. I was on it from 15 to 22. And I remember sitting in class and I was like, oh my God. Why am I on this? Why am I actually on this? Did I want to become a mother at that point? No, but I knew that the only way I was actually going to be able to establish healthy fertility and even know anything about my body is if I got off these synthetic hormones and drugs and actually started to map out what my body was producing. Because when you have a bleed on the pill, that's not your own period. That's not your body and your pituitary gland and your ovaries and your uterus working together to produce that. That is a withdrawal bleed from coming off the pill for that 7-day period or doing the 7-day sugar pill. That's not your own period. And so when we talk about this history and lineage of being on the birth control pill and when you were on in that, I talk to women who are menopause and they're like, why are you talking to me about the pill and forms of birth control that I used X amount of years ago? I'm like, because that all has an impact on how well you move through perimenopause and menopause. You see, we set our bodies up for healthy, successful, sex-filled, awesome feeling menopause by taking care of our bodies in our 20s, our 30s, and our 40s. Now, if you're in your 50s and 60s and you're like, shit, I didn't do that then, and now I'm here, there are still many things that you can do. But we have to be working in a way where we're just like, kind of undoing some of the stuff that we did. So let me explain to you a little bit more about this impact of the birth control choices that we made in the past. And before I get there, let me say, I am grateful that there was a birth control pill for me to take at that period of time, and so that I didn't get pregnant as a young girl who was having sex and in my early 20s. I am adopted. My parents were 15 and 16 years old when they had me. I met my whole birth family 11 years ago when my daughter was 10 months old. It has been a beautiful reunion, but you can betcha that me growing up, knowing from the time I was born that I was adopted and how young my parents were, this is actually part of why I am sitting here with all of you now, because I knew in the back of my head, I wanted more for myself. I didn't want that to happen. And knowing and understanding that the way that I came into the universe was through my birth mom's first time having sex at 15 years old, right? And me being created, and thank God that I was. I thank the universe every day for the path and how my life got here, but I knew I didn't want that to happen. I knew it was a possibility. So I educated myself forward and backwards. And some of my girlfriends, if they're on here from high school, will tell you this, in grade 10, 11, and 12, I was actually giving the sex ed classes in the gym change room, because we would go into class and listen, and I was like, okay, so you know what we just learned in health class? No. Here's your options. You got the pill, and you have these different kinds of pills. You have spermicidal foam, you have condoms, you have a diaphragm, you have an IUD. Here's the pros and the cons of all of these things. Now you can decide and choose. But the education I didn't find then, because I didn't know that it mattered, because my doctor said these were all safe, is understanding the implications. Until a couple of months before being in that class at 22 years old, actually it was even probably before that, I was having breakthrough bleeding. So my doctor was changing around my birth control pills, and I was becoming like a crazy person. I was crying, I was depressed, I was snapping at everyone. My boobs were like growing ginormous. I know that's hard to believe. I really know that's hard to believe, but they were big. I had acne. There was all these things going on. And I kept saying to the doctor, I'm telling you, it's from this birth control pill. No, it's totally safe. This is what we use, for women and girls your age. And after the third time of switching over to the pills, I went back and I was like, something is wrong, like inside my brain from this pill. I am telling you, this is not me. And I was in my early 20s. And you know what he said to me? And this is the second time he had said this to me, because around the age of 16 years old, when I was first put on the pill, I'd been on it for about a year. I had some spotting, some breakthrough. And again, I was just like, I was crying all the time. I just wasn't feeling myself. And he had offered me Prozac when I was 16 years old. Okay. No other markers other than this pill's kind of making me a little crazy. And I was like, no, number one, I don't even know what that is, but I don't want to take medication. I knew that in my body. Fast forward to my early 20s, same scenario. Why don't you just go on a low dose antidepressant? And I was like, oh my God, here we go again. Is this our only prong that we have for women when they are feeling unwell from this, is to give this as a secondary thing? And then as I started to do more research, and even in the last few years, birth control pill, 82% of women who are put on the birth control pill at some point are offered and or fill out a prescription for an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety medication, which is just crazy to me. So, when we are on the birth control pill, like I said, this impacts us for years down the road. Even if you are on an IUD, and the Mirena IUD is actually secreting chemical forms of hormones into the body. When you're on a copper IUD, that's totally different. And a copper IUD, there's no hormones that are being produced, but the copper IUD, both of these are foreign objects that are inserted up into the uterus. And the copper IUD in your uterus creates this kind of concoction of white blood cells and copper ions and various enzymes and prostaglandins, which actually create inflammation inside the uterus and in the cervix that ward off and make it difficult for sperm to actually make their way up into your system. Now, I don't know about you, but when I hear the way that that has to happen in order to prevent sperm from coming in, I think to myself, well, what's happening to the rest of my uterus if there's this level of inflammation that's going on in my body? That is a big concern to me. And also the fact too that there can be some perforation, some puncturing, and some embedding of this object in the uterus. Now, I'm asked all the time, what would you then recommend for birth control pills, or birth control rather, for young girls? Listen, like I said, my daughter, at some point, there's going to come a time where she needs to know how to protect herself. My first thing I would say is we want to wait as long as possible. Now, more than 60% of women, this is the latest statistic from the ACOG, which is the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, who actually deem our menstrual cycles as the 5th vitality sign in women. So this is like after looking at like your heart, your lungs, your liver, all those vital organs. Your period is an important monthly report card. The latest stats say that over 60% of women who are put on the birth control pill are not on the pill for birth control reasons. They are put on it because either they don't have a period, and they're at a certain age where they are told they should have a period. They're on it for acne. They're on it to regulate their menstrual cycle, or they're on it for heavy bleeding and a lot of cramping and exacerbated PMS. So my role and goal as a mother, and I would say this to those of you who are asking this question, is I want to make sure that my daughter's body, her digestive system is as healthy as possible, her B vitamins are rich, her magnesium, her zinc, her selenium, her sleep as well, her adrenals are being taken care of, that she knows and is doing as many of the things as possible to try to keep the constitution of her body nice and strong, so that if Emerson were to decide at some point to go on the pill, her body is at least starting off in a healthier position. And this is what I think is so important, is that if as a woman you were put on the pill before you even got your period, or you get put on the pill when you're at such a young age, like it takes our bodies a good 1 to 3 years to fully establish our hormonal rhythm. So if you got put on the pill really early, like I had only had my period for about 1.5 years when I was put on the pill at 15. And I did go on the pill for birth control reasons. I knew that I was going to start to be, have sex with my boyfriend at the time. And I knew that I needed to have protection. But the problem is that our brain, so this is where it all stems from. It's not actually the ovaries that are dictating how this whole fertility and hormonal cycle goes down. It happens in your brain. It starts in something called your hypothalamus, and then your pituitary gland. Your pituitary gland is so critical when it comes to healthy levels of estrogen and progesterone, your follicular stimulating hormone, your luteinizing hormone. You know, how well your adrenals are going to respond and how much they can produce of DHEA. Because you remember when I was saying to you how over time as your ovaries start to slow down their production and they actually shrink in size. Well, when you finally get to the place where you have no more menstrual cycle, okay, that full cessation, when menopause has actually taken place, your adrenals are like your secondary ovaries. They now need to kick in and help to be able to produce a lot of these hormones that you still need that your ovaries are no longer producing. We also produce a lot of these hormones in our fat cells. Now, some of these are healthy ones and some of them are not so healthy. So this is one of the other reasons why trying to maintain a healthy body weight is so important, because the more fat that we have on our body has its own powerhouse ability to produce more chemical forms of estrogen, to produce more cortisol, which is going to jack up that stress response, which will actually jack up your blood sugar. And, you know, for women who are trying to lose weight and they feel like they're checking off all the right boxes, they don't recognize that, you know, their own little body has become this powerhouse machine of producing the wrong type of estrogen and these, you know, stress-inducing hormones and chemicals that are actually contributing to more insulin. And insulin is our fat-storing hormone. So, you know, working on our body weight from that perspective is so important. But if you are in those critical stages and period of time where your body's still establishing its rhythm and you were put on the pill, when you come off, some women come off and they go, bam, get the period the next month, they have healthy pregnancies and they're good. Other women struggle. And maybe it doesn't show up in the actual fertility of having a baby, but maybe now they have heavy periods that they did not have before. They have the hair loss, they have the exhaustion, they have no sex drive, their breasts are shrinking, their weight is expanding in the waist. They've got more cellulite that they never used to have. They have some of these different issues that are going on. This is going to come down to taking a look at, okay, what's actually going on. You see, we don't understand the impact of what's happening on our liver, right? Every single thing that you take in. So medication, supplements, your food, everything, all the chemicals that you're exposed to, even mentally and emotionally, your liver is given this huge amount of jobs that it has to do every single day. And when the liver gets congested and it gets bogged down, when there's too much sugar coming in the body, alcohol, too many stimulants, too many toxins, you're not stimulating your natural response to how you can detox. So you don't get enough water, you don't have enough healthy fiber, you're not getting your vegetables in, you're not pooping on a daily basis, you're not getting the rest, all of those key vital things that your body needs. You're not supplementing optimally. You're not getting enough healthy fat into your body as a woman. You've totally depleted any carbohydrate sources other than like a half a cup of berries that you give yourself permission to put into your smoothie. You have to understand that from a hormonal perspective, there is a beautiful formula that our body is really priding itself on. And when we start to maneuver all of these things and we think of our body as simply being like, a calorie in, calorie out, macro this, that's not how our system works, right? You have to look at the full picture. And this is why I always caution too, like what's working for the person over here is not necessarily going to work for the person over there unless you live the same life and you have the same health history. So I would say you need to have it established this, like if you're not tracking your period right now, ladies, this is so important. And if you don't have a period anymore, track your symptoms. If you no longer bleed or you have such an irregular cycle that you're like, I don't know when it's going to show up. It just shows up when it feels like it, which usually is like the worst timing. It's like when you're going away for a weekend or you're going on holidays or you and your husband have a night to yourself, that's when your period is going to decide to crop up because you get hormonally stimulated. You need to look at the lunar cycle. So if you don't have a bleed, you have to map yourself with the actual moon cycle. I have an entire cycle syncing ebook that if you go to Linktree, go to my website under free, like jenpike.com under free, you can download that and you can read more about that cycle syncing. So I would say when it comes to choosing your form of birth control, you need to do your due diligence and do your research, and you need to actually understand what is your cycle. What's your cervical mucus? Do you actually know when you ovulate? Because you really only have about a 3 to 5 day period each month where you can actually get pregnant. And for most women, it's actually smaller than that. So understanding that, you can't get pregnant on any given day of the month, that it's actually quite a blessing that it does happen for us and that we are all here when you actually look statistically at how it works in our female bodies. So know and understand your period, because like I said, this is a monthly report card. And if you think about this, we only have 10 to 12 opportunities in a year to actually get this feedback from our bodies as to how well the rest of our endocrine system is doing. When I talk to you about adrenal fatigue and adrenal exhaustion, so many women think that they are suffering from this, and you may be, but really what that means is you have a dysfunction, an imbalance, a communication breakdown on your HPA axis. So this is in the brain from your hypothalamus, which then knocks onto the pituitary gland's door and says, okay, I'm stimulating you now. Now you need to stimulate the adrenals and you need to help stimulate the thyroid, because when you go to the doctor and you get your TSH measured, TSH is the thyroid stimulating hormone. So your thyroid doesn't actually produce it. Your pituitary gland does. And it tells the thyroid, okay, I'm stimulating you now. I'm sending you the hormone. Please get the message, uptake this. When it does, then your thyroid will produce your free T4, which then needs to be converted into T3, which is the only active form of that thyroid that your body can uptake. So you can have a woman whose TSH looks fine, okay? It's within like the normal range, but her T4 is off, her T3 is off, and she has every single symptom of a thyroid issue. This is what in functional holistic practitioner language we refer to as being a cellular thyroid dysfunction. And this is what I try and do, is to discover and find areas that need some support so that we never have to see those TSH levels or those other levels get to an unhealthy level. It's the same reason why when I test for the Dutch hormone test and I do a huge timeline workup when I do consultations for the estrogen dominance picture, are you dealing with higher levels of estrogen as a woman, or are you dealing with higher levels of androgens? Because it's typically one or the other. If it's high estrogen, you have horrible PMS, you have cysts, you have fibroids, you have fibrocystic breast tissue as well as the uterus, you have Weight gain around the waist. You probably have an excess amount of cellulite. Your cravings are through the roof. You have painful periods, heavy periods, and clotting. This is typically indicative of excess estrogen dominance. Endometriosis falls under this category as well too. If you have, and now, so what that would mean is either, it's not that your ovaries are producing excess estrogen, it's that you've got toxicity from the environment, body care products, plastics, conventional tampons, pads, your makeup, all of those different things that are coming into your system that are increasing that chemical form of estrogen in your body, or you have higher estrogen than you do in relationship to your progesterone. So maybe the issue is that your progesterone is really low. And so that is keeping your estrogen higher. So in that case, you don't just go right in and try and rescue progesterone. You have to figure out, well, why? Why are you depleted in progesterone? If your stress is chronically high, if cortisol is up, cortisol literally eats up progesterone, like it consumes it. So if you have chronic stress, financially, in your relationship, at home, at work, whatever it is, your cortisol is perpetually elevated, it is going to lower your progesterone. If you are doing high intensity interval training and CrossFit and spinning and super, hot power vinyasa, yoga and running all the time, and everything you do for your body is intensity, intensity, intensity. If you never sit down and relax, you're always on the go with your family, you're gone away every single weekend, you have low-grade systemic inflammation. Your stress is always like you're running from the tiger 24/7, 365. You will be robbed of progesterone. And I don't care how much wild yam extract and evening primrose and Vitex and chaste tree berry that you put into your body. You can even go and get a bioidentical progesterone cream and slap that on your thighs for 2 weeks out of the month. Unless you stop running away from the tiger or you actually eliminate the tiger from your life, you will be stuck in this cycle of feeling this way over and over and over again. And this is where I see women, they are just spending so much money on this stuff and on the things as opposed to actually keeping their body and their stress level reduced as best they can. And we go and buy the stuff because that's actually easier. It costs more, but it's easier because we don't have to really change anything. We're just adding something in. The hard stuff was when you say to people, I don't want to actually have you buy anything new. I actually want you to start to work on what you've got, and I want you to start to unwind. When you ask a woman to change her schedule and start to say no to people, she's like, what did you just say? Did you just tell me to go like stand on a 50-foot bridge and jump off with no parachute? Like that's what it feels like for women when you actually ask them to say no to other people and start to put themselves first. It's scary. But part of healing your body and healing your hormones is getting okay with letting people down. That is part of it. It's not going to happen any other way. The other side of it is if you have high androgens. So that's where I fall into. My history was having higher male hormones. So that's like your hormonal acne around the jaw strap. It'd be cystic acne. It would be having higher testosterone levels, hair growth around the chin, around the nipples, around the navel. So that would be some of that stuff that's going on. And that's a totally different picture than trying to reduce estrogen, right? Oftentimes, if we can just get the male hormones to back off, we can get the bowels moving well, we can heal the gas, the bloating, and the triggers that are bothering the digestive system. We can increase the B vitamins and support the adrenals, and we can clean up the liver. The rest of the body is like, oh my gosh, finally, thank you. And then you start to recognize majority of those big signs and symptoms, they start to just quiet down. Someone who's 58 had breast cancer, thyroid disease, IBS, fatty liver, chronic pain, fibromyalgia, reflux, H. pylori, what do you suggest? Going on the keto diet, no longer menstruating, and yes, chronic stress. So that is not something that I could just say, yeah, absolutely go on keto. I actually probably say, no, don't. Here's the thing is, all of these, okay, so IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, also known as interesting bullshit. Here's what IBS means. You have a lot of food sensitivities that nobody did their due diligence and tested you on. And yes, lactose is one of them, but dairy as a whole is one of them. So when you tell somebody they have IBS and tell them to buy lactate pills and just not eat ice cream, and you're doing such a disservice, because IBS is actually under the category of IBD, which is irritable bowel disease. There's leaky gut. If you have IBS, you have leaky gut. So that is going to cause ongoing daily inflammation and upset in many areas of the body, not just the gut and the bowels, but the skin. It is going to cause chronic stress on your adrenals and on your thyroid. Fatty liver disease is actually coming from an increase in sugar. So, high levels of sugar coming in the way of, you know, starchy, unhealthy carbohydrates, sweets, those types of things. Yes, alcohol can impact it, but also caffeine, acid reflux, low stomach acid, same thing coming back to IBS, the thyroid disease, like all of these things probably happening and brewing behind the scenes for a long time. Breast cancer, estrogen dominance, okay? More than 80% of all breast cancers are now estrogen dominant positive. Okay, we know this. We also know, and if you know any women in your life or you're one of them that went through breast cancer oncology treatment, one of the first medications you were put on was tamoxifen, which is an estrogen blocker. So we know that estrogen is an issue. We also know that huge companies now are following the holistic suit and getting rid of parabens and sodium lauryl sulfate and, you know, triclosan and all of these other huge hormone disruptors. So this is a much bigger question of, do I just go on keto? This is like, I would recommend that you do something like book a consultation with a practitioner. You need somebody who's going to be willing to go through some of your blood work and understand your beginning to how you got to here where you are. And then also educating yourself, something like the Hormone Project, so you really understand what's going on, because there's no one answer. There's no one answer for this. This is a period of time and phases of being able to support and clean up the body, okay? Okay, so I'm just scrolling through here, you know, all 6,000 words of everything I wanted to go through with you guys that I haven't tapped over here too. So what do you start to do to actually create this level of recovery in your body? Like, how do you get your cycle back to a healthy one right now? How do you, if you're going through perimenopause or menopause, you've had, you know, you've got this post-birth control syndrome where you have these lasting effects, you have high estrogen or androgens, like, where do you start? What do you actually begin to do to start to heal your body? The first place to recovery is working on restoring your gut. This is where everything has to happen. And this is the non-sexy stuff. This is where, like, people aren't interested. Most people, they just like, just give me a meal plan. You know, let me just book an hour with you. And I'm like, we're going to get through very little in an hour. I'll start to just begin to understand the surface of where you're at right now and may be able to give you a couple of recommendations, but we have to recognize that where we feel today has been happening for years. And until we get to a place of restoring your gut, of healing the perforation, the leaky gut, and sealing up the lining of the stomach and getting you to absorb your nutrients. Like, if you see undigested food in your stool, if you are burping and belching and gassy after every meal that you eat, if you have acidity and reflux and everything feels like it's coming back up, you're not breaking down your food. So if you're not breaking down food that you have actually chewed up and put into an acidic environment and it still can't be broken down, why are we going to start loading ourselves with a bunch of other things? We have to work from establishing that base. We've got to remove your big triggers. You have to add in some healing things like possibly aloe vera juice, L-glutamine, collagen, deglycerinated licorice, things that are actually going to start to heal and calm everything down instead of irritating it and flaring it back up. You've got to get rid of the big stimulants, the big irritants, the caffeine, the alcohol, you know, all those types of things. And I know people are like, oh God, like I'm out. I can't do any of that. Then you have to ask yourself, how badly do you actually want to heal? Right? And this is the thing, like, I am your no BS practitioner. I just say to clients, like, these are the things that you have to start to do. And, you know, if they're not interested in doing it, I'm like, then you have to understand that your healing is going to be that much slower and that it actually might not happen at all. Because at the end of the day, the questions you actually have to ask yourself are, how committed am I to feeling better? How committed am I to not having to have a nap every single day, to be snapping at everyone, to not like the person staring back at me, the person that I'm becoming, to heal what's going on with my skin and my weight and my thyroid, to not be bleeding through a tampon in 20 minutes and a pad and go through a full box over 1 to 2 days? How badly do I not want to feel that anymore? And if you're really honest and you dig deep and you're like, I'm done, like I have drawn the line in the sand and I'm going over to the other side, then that's where you make that commitment to yourself to start to let go of some of those things that are literally holding you like a prisoner, paralyzed in your own body, where you feel like you're doing all the things, but you're not letting go of a lot of the big things that are irritating your system. And I get it. It's challenging. Like I've been there where I've had to let things go and give things up, and it kind of sucks for the first little bit until you have your first glimpse of feeling better. And then you're like, oh my gosh, you know, like it's been a day or two since I haven't felt this, or I'm pooping every single day, or I have slept through the night for the last 4 nights. Like those are the best emails that I get from people, is when they tell me they're pooping, they're sleeping, that they have a sex drive back, and that they don't feel so puffy and inflamed. Those are my favorite emails to open up from people. You know, so those are the types of kind of questions that you have to really ask yourself. The next stage is restoring the nutrients. So we have to look at, okay, now that we're working on healing the gut and your stomach isn't so reactive, what things can we put into your body to help to replenish your minerals? Are the big ones for women, right? So we talk about vitamins, like, you know, all of the vitamins, but your B vitamins and C and E and D, those types of things for overall health and vitality. But when we talk about minerals, this is magnesium, manganese, phosphorus, iron, trace elements like selenium and zinc. These are things that are actually helping your thyroid to be functioning well, that are helping your cells on a metabolic level actually properly break down carbs and fats and proteins, tell them what they need to do with one another, where they need to go to allow for proper synthesis in your muscles, right? Like as women, if you're not exercising and doing some form of load-bearing exercise, you won't change the shape of your body. Cardiovascular exercise will not do that for you. It'll stimulate your lymph system. It'll help produce endorphins. It'll increase serotonin. It'll make you feel better. But if you're trying to reduce the appearance of cellulite, if you're trying to, you know, trim down inches and to lose weight and change the shape of your body, you have to be willing to do some load-bearing movement. And it doesn't actually matter for how long you do it for at a time. It doesn't matter how much you are lifting. You could just do your own body weight. It's more so the consistency. You know, one of the big things asked about, like, you know, losing weight in the hips, the thighs, and the cellulite. Well, this is, you have to start to poop. We have to cleanse your liver. We've got to get the chemical forms of estrogen out of your body through the liver and through the bum. And you have to start to actually move your system and get all of those pieces happening together. And then the final piece in that is we have to restore your detox systems. So as women, the most important parts of your body, I mean, they're all important, but for this topic specifically, is the gut and the bowels. So are you digesting your food, and are you pooping out your waste? Because if your waste isn't being pooped out, guess what's happening? You are retoxing your system and causing a lot of issues. Okay, so we need to be pooping. Your liver, this is where you metabolize all of your hormones. So if you have acne, if you have cellulite, if you have high estrogen, if you have all the cramps, all the fibroids, the heavy menstrual cycle, your liver has got to be an area that we spend time on. No one is teaching you this, okay? When we talk about the kidneys, their energy, their chi are what govern the ovaries, okay? What sits on top of your kidneys? Your adrenals. So everything is connected to everything. Your lungs, your respiratory system, your lymph system. So when I work with women in these programs, I take you through a gut healing protocol, a liver healing protocol, an adrenal healing protocol, and we make sure that all the systems in the body are starting to get the message, that they are receiving the tools and the resources and the raw material that they need to get the job done. Because here's the thing, even on your worst day, on the day that you feel awful, on the day you've been diagnosed with something, on the day that it just feels like all hell is breaking loose, your body's potential to heal is still there. You have to believe it, and you have to start to give it the right elements of information. We communicate to our body how it should be feeling. We're the one giving it the information. So just like you can choose to flip the page, or, you know, put the book down and open up a new one and start a new story, you can do that very same thing in your own body, but you have to be willing to make those changes, and not just to talk about the changes, but to actually implement. And that is the hard part, is we can talk a good talk, right? But to actually start to like show up and do it and implement it, it's scary because it's new and it's different. And you're going to be like, but my husband won't do this, or my wife won't do this, or my kids won't do that. This is not about them. This in the long term is for them because it's for you. And when you feel better and you're more confident and you aren't, bogged down by all of these issues, you are going to show up as a better form of you for everybody else in your life. But in the beginning, you have to be self-centered in the most self-loving way. And you have to choose to do this for you. And if nobody else understands, it's okay. Just hand it back over to them. They don't need to understand. You will probably find in the beginning, when you're trying to change your life and your body for the better, you don't have a lot of cheerleaders. That's why we're here. That's why this whole community exists. We're like your Simplicity sisters, because you'll probably find, and it's disheartening in the beginning, that the people you love and care about the most, you have to understand that when you choose to do better for you and to focus on you, that's going to pull on a thread in them that they're not prepared for yet, because it's going to be a mirror that they need to change something and they're not there. So you still love on them. Even if you don't feel like you're being supported, you still love on them and you let them know this isn't about them. Let them off the hook right away, because girl, this is all about you. You have to make these choices for you. And the best way that you're going to impact them in their life, and even for your children, is you lead by example. You lead by example and you put you first, okay? All right. We're 8:39. We said tonight we'd probably be about an hour to an hour and a half. I'm probably going to go for about another 10, 15 minutes. And I'm going to include some questions in there as well too. And then we're going to hop off. So that's really kind of like my 3-tier approach that I'd recommend, is restoring your gut, restoring your nutrients and your detox systems. And we do this through a leaky gut healing protocol, liver and adrenals. This really honestly, and many of you on here have gone through it, know, this is actually the base and foundation of what the Hormone Project is all about, right? It's 10 weeks and every week you focus on a different element of your hormonal system, because unless you understand and know this information, you can't change anything. Me just telling you to do it is not enough. When you start to actually know what's happening behind the scenes, in how what's going on in your gut is actually giving feedback to your ovaries, that is actually impacting the health of your uterus, that is impacting the future health of generations from your body. To understand that for your thyroid and your adrenals to be out of whack, that is actually a symptom. Did you know that having a thyroid disease is a symptom? Endometriosis is a symptom. Cancer is a symptom. Diabetes is a symptom. MS, fibromyalgia, these are symptoms. Are these diseases and illnesses that cause a lot of discomfort and a lot of mental and emotional stress? 100%. But we cannot hand all of our power over to them. My mother-in-law, my husband's mother, is suffering horribly from dementia. She's on waiting lists for many different homes right now. It is very, very bad. It has been going on for 13 years. It started when she was in menopause. No one would listen. Everyone said this is normal, and I kept saying this is not normal. All the things happening to her, she was not supported. She got worse and worse. My sister-in-law has underactive thyroid and has MS. My sister has Hashimoto's. My father had cancer. You can look as far as your hand can reach in your life to know people in your family that you would have thought were so healthy that have been diagnosed with something. We're not untouchable, and yet we have the ability to understand more about our hormonal health so that we can actually move ourselves further and further away of the potential of something like this happening to our system. So that's why I'm so passionate about teaching this to you. And when it comes to things like, losing weight and having the healthy skin and the shiny hair and feeling vibrant and all of those things, they're literally a few changes away. But until you understand why you need to make these changes, until you understand how to, map out your cycle and all of those things, it becomes like another thing on your to-do list. As opposed to when you start to really understand and know more about this whole concept of estrogen dominance, having high androgen levels, how to properly support your liver. Like ladies who are dealing with acne. I mean, how many of you on here in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s and beyond are still dealing with hormonal acne? Let me know by a raise of hands, which on here means like typing yes. Right away, I just had umpteen people raise their hand. Yes, yes, yes. And you want to know what I find in my practice is a lot of these women never used to have acne. And they're like, why am I in my 40s and 50s and getting acne? Like, what the hell is going on? I thought only teenagers got acne. And it's because the gut and the liver are responding. If you have a healthy functioning liver, you don't get acne. And I suffered from acne for a while after my son, after I carried a boy. It jacked my androgens, my male hormones, through the roof. And it took me years to pinpoint and figure out what the heck was going on. And all the practitioners I would go to, well, you're a woman, so it has to be estrogen dominance. I had no signs of estrogen dominance. I had healthy periods. They weren't heavy. I didn't have cramping. I had no breast tenderness. I didn't get headaches. I had none of those issues. And they kept putting me on things for my estrogen. I was like, I'm telling you, this isn't the thing. And did my acne get better? No. Did it get worse? Absolutely. Went to a Chinese medicine doctor and I said, look, I have a theory. I feel like I have high androgens. My birth dad had bad acne. So did one of my birth brothers. They were both on Accutane for a period of time. So I said, I feel like I have a genetic predisposition. When I carried my daughter, a female, healthy, beautiful skin. I carried a boy and it lit something up in my body. As soon as I was pregnant with my son, hormonal acne. I gave birth to him. I nursed for almost 2 years. Acne just got worse and worse. And I couldn't figure it out, knowing all of the things that I had in my toolbox as a practitioner. I had written a freaking book at that point. How could I not figure out how to heal my skin? And it's because everyone I was reaching out to just kept dismissing me. You're a female, it's estrogen. You're a female, it's estrogen. And I was like, this is not what's going on with my body. So I got myself acupuncture. I got myself put on different herbs to balance out my liver. And I started to put together a protocol for myself that was an anti-androgen protocol. And I healed my acne. And my skin has never been better. And now my skin is my GPS. If I'm under stress, if I'm not putting myself first, if I'm, having a glass of wine or two in a week or more than I should be, or if I have a little bit of sugar, whatever it may be, I will break out. And when that happens, I know I am not honoring myself. So now that vulnerability isn't the thing that I would cancel going out with friends. I literally didn't want to have pictures taken of me. I was so self-conscious of it. And I spoke to people for a living. So when your mouth is your tool, yet you have acne all around your face, my self-esteem just went, phew, and it was awful. And so now I know, I can see firsthand that vulnerability will get woken up if I'm not paying attention to myself and the acne starts to come again. So all I have to do is reel myself back in. And so this is what I teach women in the Hormone Project as well too. Does it matter what you put on your skin? It does. It does matter because we don't want to be putting chemicals on our skin, but it's not going to cure your acne, and neither is a birth control pill. That's just shoving all your issues deeper in your body. If you were put on the pill for acne, if you were put on the pill to regulate your cycles, you have just shut your pituitary off. You no longer ovulate anymore, and you've just moved it deeper in your body. So now when you come off the pill, it is going to blow itself up because your system has just been suppressed for so long. So we undo all of that. I would play sick to stay home on picture days in high school. Yeah, I totally hear you. And other people who don't go through this, they don't get it. And it's just for me, I have so many women who come to my yoga classes with fibromyalgia, and I will encourage them to do a certain posture, and they'll be like, you don't understand what that feels like for me. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. I don't. So I'm going to give you a modification and you move and be how you need to be. And this is the thing is, I'm not here to diagnose. I'm not here to push and force. I am simply here to open up your awareness to how you can heal by educating you on what your options are and then giving you recommended suggestions. Okay. I feel like I've said kind of my piece on a bit of this and given you a bit of this and a bit of that. I'm going to open it up for some questions. And yes, I am. I'm going to talk to you about the Hormone Project. So that actually, and you can start to just post your questions on the sidebar there. The Hormone Project starts on June 25th. So I work with 20 women at a time. It is a 10-week course that is 100% focused on your endocrine system. So you join me for a class every single week, every Monday night at 10:30, sorry, not 10:30, at 7, you'll be in bed at 10:30, at 7:30, okay? And even if you're not on live, you get the recordings of everything. You get 2 private consultations done with me like this on video, but you and I are talking to each other and it's recorded and sent to you. Because when you hear things like this, you take in so much information, but you forget it. So I'm going to record it and send it to you. We're going to help to establish a protocol for you. We're going through a gut healing protocol, liver, and adrenal. You get meal plans, you get more than 70 recipes, you get both of my books, you get your ticket to Ignite Your Life next year, you get a 70-day exercise plan that is all video based, so you know exactly how to do what you are being recommended to do. You get my cost for the Dutch hormone testing as well too. You get the full request sheet for your blood work to take to your doctor, as well as the scripts. Plus we have a 6-part masterclass series with Dr. Carrie Jones, who is the medical director for the lab that created the Dutch hormone testing, with Josh Gatalis, who's talking about evidence-based information. So we are actually going to pull up on the screen all the blood work and actually show you exactly what's going on, what to look for, and what to ask for. The entire meal plan is all gluten-free. It is dairy-free. If you are vegetarian or vegan, there are options to choose for your various protein sources out of the animal protein sources. Is low-carb diet counterproductive when adrenal fatigue is present? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You do not have to live in Canada to participate, Leslie, because this is 100% online. The only thing that's in person is that I always invite the women of the program into my home for an intimate evening. This year it's on July 17th. I live about 45 minutes north of Toronto on Lake Simcoe in Keswick. We live stream it for the women who cannot be here live, because we have women from all over the world that join and do this every single time. So you can, Vanessa, my assistant, she'll actually post the link so you can go on and read and look at it. You can put your deposit in tonight. The program actually starts on June the 25th. We only have 6 spots left in this. When you take this program with me one time, okay, you get alumni pricing always moving forward, which means you can come back into it at any time for 50% off. And a lot of women do this because you get to have the private consultations again. So you really at that point are only paying for my time, and then the entire program you're getting delivered for free. So this time around, you're getting 16 classes. I encourage you to re-listen to them. Listen to them when you are driving, when you are cooking your healthy meals, when you are out for a walk, or when you are exercising. We go through digestion, inflammation. We spend an entire night on your thyroid, an entire night on your adrenals, an entire night on estrogen dominance, an entire night on cycle syncing, on exercise, on supplements, on skincare. You come with me literally into my bathroom. I teach you DIYs. You get an entire library, 16 additional videos of how to create your own house care products, skincare products, different recipes in my kitchen. We have a private Facebook group that is so supportive and interactive in there as well too. So you are really, really, truly taken care of. And why did I create this program? Because I had so many women reaching out to do private consultations, but I'm one person. And here's the beautiful thing. This is our 6th time running in this program in not even 2 years. It has just been the most beautiful thing that ever started. I'm so grateful for it and all the women who join it. The community is who rallies around you and helps you get the best results ever, because all of these women are standing side by side and they are supporting you. They are oftentimes asking the questions that you might be nervous to ask yourself. And everyone is sharing how well they're doing, and the struggly days, the shit days, right? Like so often in social media, we're seeing all like the highlight reels, all the good stuff. And we don't want to have like a pity party and be complaining all the time, but sometimes the struggle is truly real, and we need to acknowledge those parts as much as the shiny parts as well too. What else here? So it's not in July, it is June 25th. So it goes June 25th till August 27th. Throughout the summer months. And like I said, everything is recorded. If you can't be on there live, you literally are going to wake up the next morning and have that recording. Sometimes we even get it up that night. If you're on hormone compounding creams, would you stop them while doing the hormone project? No, you would not. The other part of this program is that I will help you actually put together a team of practitioners, or work with your current practitioners that you have, whether it's your naturopath, endocrinologist, functional medicine practitioner, Chinese medicine, energy work, whatever it is, to help to make sure that you're fully supported. I'm not coming in like a cowboy and, you know, just saying like, you're going to stop this and remove everything. I'm going to give you some different suggestions consultations, and then I'm really going to help you to build a community. And this is, so I'm running this program this summer. I'm not taking any other clients on. I'm actually writing my third book, which I started today, called The Simplicity Body. And so moving forward until 2019, I'm not going to be taking on any more private clients outside of the Hormone Project. So I have this one running now, and then we will see what's going to happen in the fall. I'm starting a whole new tour, traveling around and teaching. So I'm not too sure what's going to be happening in the fall. So that's why I want to make sure, and I've added 6 additional faculty to this one, because I just want to have it be so jacked up, because the summertime is, as women, like, let's face it, when the sun is out and the patio is open, we're drinking more. We are, you know, eating more chips and dips and those types of things. We're not going into the gym. We're making our exercise a priority because it's sunny and beautiful outside. And it's when I see everybody just start to kind of fall off the radar and then panic and contact me in September, because now the kids are back in school. They feel like they're back to a regular routine, but they feel like they have months of undoing. So it's why I run it in the summer, to help to keep people on target and accountable throughout that period of time. How many times a year do I run the program? So the first year I ran it 4 times. This year I've run it 1 time, so it's the second time. So no more than 3 times in a year. I can't, because the course is 10 weeks. I take 20. Last time I took 25 women. That was a lot of women. It's a lot of uteruses to be addressing. And because it's 2 consultations for every person, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's having dreams of ovaries swimming past my head. And I love it so much, but I invest every ounce of myself into this program with these women. So I don't know what's going to happen in the fall, but I can't do it more than 3 times, because 10 times, that's 30 weeks. Plus I do all the follow-ups, and I like to get your initial consultation done within the first few weeks of the program, because I want to know you. I want to know, like, why are you here? Why did you sign up? How can I best support you? What do you need to know? How do I need to talk to you? This is another key part too, is that all of you are going to respond differently. So I might be able to be a little bit more like straight to the point, cut the BS you with someone, and with somebody else, I might have to like love on you a little bit more, and, you know, like be the hug you haven't had for 20 years. So I like to have that initial consultation in the first few weeks, but your follow-up consultation, I give you up to 3 months post ending the program to get that one done. Because some people do the program because they want to hear it for a couple of months. They're not ready to actually like implement the things. They just want to take it in. And then when the program ends, now they start to do it. You have lifetime access to all of the videos and all the information. We don't like, oh, the program's done, so we're cutting it out. I don't believe in that. I think that's a total asshole move when programmers do that. So we give you access to the information for always. You will always have that downloaded list. Vanessa actually creates you an entire curated playlist, so you have everything in one spot for you. Oh, awesome, Erin, welcome. I'm just going to go in here into Q&A and see there. Okay, so that's Vanessa. Hands are being raised. So if you actually have questions, post them in the actual chat sidebar so I can answer them over there. And while I'm just waiting to see on that, I'll get back to some of these questions that were submitted. So I'm going to go for about another 5 to 10 minutes to do questions. You are going to get this replay on Wednesday. I know it's a ton of information to take in at once. And if you have any, you know, personal questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can send me a direct message on Instagram or on Facebook, or send it to our team, which is, we have a brand new community manager who's helping me with all of these emails. So Vanessa, if you can post Sarah's email, I believe it's either hello@jenpike.com or info. So I'll get Vanessa to post that for you guys. So one of the other big questions that I got here was, actually I had 3 women submit in about having droopy eyes or droopy eyelids, a sign and symptom of hormonal imbalance. This is a big one, dealing with the thyroid. And the other question I had from a lot of people was hives that come and go, but when they come with a vengeance. And this is another sign and symptom of an autoimmune form of thyroid. Now, obviously hives can be there for many other reasons. So I'd recommend you do your due diligence, make sure you don't have any allergies to certain things, but typically it is the immune system being overreactive. And if chronic hives, droopy eyelids, low energy, heart palpitations, anxiety, those types of things are an issue for you, I would really recommend requesting a full thyroid panel. Do I have any programs just for digestion? No, I don't. I have a 21-day digestion protocol that's online that's run by itself. But I don't do something that's just for gut, because it's not just about gut, right? Like, it is that is the base that then is stemming out into so many other things that are happening in our bodies. The Simplicity Project that I've typically only run once live a year, that will be coming back in about 4 or 5 months. And that is the base. So that's like your intro. That's where, if you're like, I don't know how much I need to know about hormones, but I want to know a little bit about my gut, a little bit about it. It's like, I just want to know a little bit of things. I'm not really ready to like dive into my hormones. I don't have enough going on. That would be something that you could stay tuned and look into. Is it too early to do the Dutch test on my 15-year-old daughter? No, it is not. If she is menstruating, or even not if she's menstruating, if she has different signs and symptoms, you can do the Dutch test. I recommend getting the Dutch test done at least once every 1 to 1.5 years. So here in Canada now, we're told to have a pap smear done every 3 years, unless you've actually had abnormal cell activity come back on the paps. So if you don't know what you're looking for in your periods, you're only getting your girl parts looked at once every 3 years, my gosh, in a month, so much can change down there. So the blood work is important, the urinary testing, and sometimes, depending on who I'm working with, I might also connect them with Dr. Sachin Patel, very good friend and colleague of mine, and actually get a stool map, a GI mapping testing kit mailed to their house and have them do that as well too. But no, like I just ordered my Dutch kit for this year today, because I'm a student of my own body as much as anything else. And ladies, like, we're forever changing. So we just, we need to keep our finger on the pulse. In the beginning, it feels like a big task, feels like a lot of work. Then I promise you, it just like becomes addictive in the best possible way, because the more we know about ourselves, like I say, that the better your health's always going to be moving forward. Any other questions while you got me on here? There's no silly questions either, by the way. Like I always say, there's just a wasted opportunity. My little light has died out here that I had plugged in. What is a Dutch test? That's a great question. So Dutch test stands for Dried Urinary Total Complete Hormone Test. And so this is a test that is actually measuring not only your estrogen and your progesterone, but the 3 different types. You actually know your ovaries produce 3 estrogens, not just 1. So when your family doctor is only measuring your estradiol, they're looking at 1/3 of the picture of what's going on with your sex hormones. Then there's also the metabolites. How do you break down estrogen? Which pathway? There's 3 pathways that you can move estrogen through. One is going to be a healthy way. One is going to be a way that is closer linked to estrogen dominant cancers, breast, ovarian, uterine, and cervix. And then there's another pathway that is more detrimental to ourselves neurologically. So this is where you'll see things like higher propensity to dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, MS, fibromyalgia, those types of things. It's also going to patternize your whole cortisol. So it's going to show me what your cortisol is when you wake up, what it is throughout the day, what it is when you go to bed. And because you pee 4 to 5 times on these strips of paper throughout the day, it gives you a 24-hour cycling of what's going on in your body, as opposed to in your blood work, it's giving us just that one kind of snapshot moment in time. So it'll chart your cortisol for me, and it'll not only tell me cortisol, but how you metabolize it. Is your body actually uptaking or using it, or is it just free floating? Are you converting all of your precious cortisol into cortisone, which is the dead inactive form of the hormone, which is why you feel frazzled and stressed all the time. Your adrenals are trying to pump out cortisol, and your body's converting it into a form you can't use, so you never get the recovery. Your body never gets to you to help you. It's going to show me your progesterone and how well you metabolize and break that down. Your male hormones, all of your androgens. It's going to show me your melatonin, your serotonin, oxidative stress. It's also going to show me whether or not you have enough glutathione and that you are actually methylating and binding, which is going to be a big part of how well you uptake key nutrients like B6 and B12, which are critical when it comes to our hormones. And so much more. Like, it is a 14-page report of findings that gets sent back to you, that then you send to me, because legally they can't send it to the practitioner before the patient. Gets delivered to your home. You are going to spend, depending on where you order it from anywhere from $400 to $600 when you're in the Hormone Project. You get it at my cost, which is $299. And when you have the Dutch hormone testing done in one of your Zoom calls, you can choose which one. I pull up your entire test results. I walk you through every single value with you so that you understand what your body is telling you. This is your chemistry. This is your physiology. You need to understand what's going on. So I walk you through all of that. How does acupuncture help acne? It helps to free up all of the clogged energy and meridians, liver, spleen, gallbladder, kidneys. It is beautiful. You wouldn't believe how well it can help to balance your system. For someone who's never been sexually active, does this affect how you look at the person's hormone profile? It actually does. It actually does. Your cervical secretions, the structure of what's going on in the uterus, also some of the different stimulations for our pituitary gland would actually be slightly different. It doesn't change it a ton. It also really depends on what your questions are and what you have going on in your body right now. Been having a low flowing dark colored period for almost a year now. I have a Mirena in, recently went off to get it removed and it would not come out. So I hear this more often than I would like to. It oftentimes gets embedded in the uterine lining. The body recognizes this as a foreign object. Oftentimes it'll try and absorb it into its system as a way of protecting you. So this is definitely something that you want to work with your gynecologist to have removed, and then to definitely, and I would really recommend on this one that you start to do a post-birth control syndrome protocol, because the Mirena IUD is the one that has progestin, which is the chemical form of progesterone. So you have got a slow leak of that hormone into your body and into the endometrial lining. So we do want to get that out of your system, and then we want to have a protocol put together to help to start to remove some of that toxicity. So that would be like the liver and the gut healing protocol that's within the Hormone Project. But I would definitely recommend you go back to your gynecologist, and you need to put a plan together with them to get that removed out of your system. What does a Chinese doctor do that a dermatologist doesn't? Oh my God, they're not even the same at all. Dermatologist, like, they're just going to give you a steroid cream. They're going to give you a topical antibiotic. They're shit. As far as I'm concerned, when it comes to managing acne and hormonal things in that, nope, that's not where we're going. Chinese medicine doctor is going to put you on different tonics and herbs and tinctures to support the vibrancy and health of your vital organs. They're going to get the kidney woken up, the liver. They're going to help to address, do you have dampness in your body? Do you have excess candida and yeast? Or do you have too much heat in your system? Typically with acne, especially if it's angry acne, it is way too much heat. Like, what's your intensity in life? You need to chill out, slow your roll, get some acupuncture needles put in you, and get some tinctures and tonics. So I can't say enough about Chinese medicine. What if a super light 1 day period, what is it indicative of? Very low hormone levels, very low estrogen, progesterone. Yeah, so we would want to work at reestablishing that as well too. I don't know how old you are. I don't know what your health history is, but that is something that if you're within those fertile years, we would want to work on really reestablishing the health. And there needs to be some power within our periods. Like, we don't, I know, like, we're like, woo, I have a 1 day period and it's gone, yay, or I have no period, yay. That's not a healthy, positive sign from our bodies. We want to reestablish that connection. We should have a menstrual cycle that is lasting anywhere from 4 to 6 days. Okay, sometimes 7 if it's like that kind of brownie end, which is just like the last bit of the endometrial lining. And in the Hormone Project course, I teach you too, the color of your period, the consistency, what it should look like, all of that. Because like, if you're starting your period with brown as opposed to red, that's also a sign that you're not fully releasing the uterine lining from the period before. It's old dried up blood that's coming out. And then there's a different way that we need to work with that. So it's so cool. We learned so much. There is no off topic conversation in this course. And this is what I love about it so much. It's like, from our computers, and I'm in my pajamas most times, okay? I'm not looking like this. Sometimes I'm not even wearing pants. But it's like we're sitting on the couch or we're having a sleepover and we're just like talking about all the girl things. This is what we have to get back to, ladies, is we're not having these big juicy conversations. So we're going to learn and talk about all the stuff that you were told is taboo, that is like inappropriate to talk about. And oh my God, did she just say that out loud? Screw that. We're going to talk about all those things. Okay. Is there an optimal time of the month to have the Dutch test done? 100%. And we talked about this in the course. If you are still menstruating, you want to have your Dutch testing done between day 18 and day 21 to 22, because that's when your progesterone should be at its highest. If you're not menstruating, then there's actually a guide within the Dutch test itself that'll tell you when you should actually do that test. Recommendations for skin elasticity. There's no such thing as plant-based collagen that you can buy supplement-wise. Collagen is coming from tendon, bone, joint, and ligament. It's a powder. It has no flavor. It totally absorbs. You would never even know it's in what it is that you are having. And it's coming from a beautiful grass-fed source, but that's going to be your only form of like supplementing with collagen that way, to be helping the skin from the collagen perspective. Childhood illnesses or disease and their treatment have far-reaching effects on our hormonal issues. Yes, they do. They absolutely do. So there's so many things that we could talk about on that, and that's like opening up a whole can of worms. But if you ever had mono, Epstein-Barr virus, going to impact your hormones. If you ever had herpes virus, going to impact your hormones. Depending on what it was that you had a child that was going on, going to impact what's happening with the hormones. So everything from our childhood has laid the foundation and, you know, really been kind of that thread and continuum that has been building our health as we have moved forward. So if you were on antibiotics a ton as a child, you were on allergy medication, allergy shots, all of, you know, inhalers, all those different things, that has a part of your hormonal health and history and how your body is feeling right now. So definitely. I agree. Every time I sign up for a new session, I learn so much more helpful information. You're a lifesaver. Aw, thank you. Should I do the hormone project if I had a hysterectomy? Please. Because you're given no information after a hysterectomy. It's like when you have a gallbladder removed and they just send you on your way, and they don't help you at all, which also, if you don't have a gallbladder, this impacts your hormones and your liver health massively. So as you see, ladies, like I could keep you here until like 2019, and we could just keep going and going, because you ask one thing and then we jump over here, and then you ask this and we jump over here, because we're all beautifully connected, all beautifully connected. You are very welcome for the information. Son is 25, already had shingles. Does that come from my immune system? Possibly, if you had it before you had him. Or if you had something where there was a susceptibility around that. Here's the thing, you know, as moms, it's like, we already have the burden of so much responsibility on us, but our children's microbiome is really being established by our microbiome, the health and integrity of our gut and our bodies and our system. And no gallbladder, removed in 2001, 3 years after I had my son. So this is another big thing. Fatty liver, IBS, those types of things. When they take your gallbladder out, they need to let you know. You need to be on a digestive enzyme with HCl or pepsin, betaine, ox bile for the rest of your life, because you no longer have that regulation of the liver producing the bile, but then the gallbladder is there to actually help to regulate it and to uptake it and to help you to fully break down your carbs, your fats, and your proteins. And I see a very strong connection with women who have low stomach acid, no gallbladder, and thyroid disease. Thank you so much for everything. You've been a huge influence in my life. I appreciate you so much and everything you do. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. You have a great night as well. Okay, it is 9:10. I never am on time because I just love talking about this with all of you. So here's what I'm going to say to you, and put the power back in your hands. Start to pay attention to your body, ladies. It is a gift. Even your signs and symptoms that you dislike so much are the biggest gifts of your life. Your body is still talking to you, and you owe it to yourself to pay attention. Please get yourself to bed at a decent time. Hydrate, move your body. Listen to this again when it comes out on Wednesday. Go and secure your spot for the hormone project if you want to. If there was something in here tonight where you're like, oh my God, she's talking to me and about me. If you had tears streaming down your face, if you were like excited, like you were just like, I'm ready. This is it. I can feel it in every bone in my body. Click on that link, put your deposit down, register for the program, and join us on this 10-week journey. I can guarantee you, you will not regret your decision. We will take very good care of you and your body and your hormones. Yeah, and one of you are asking, can my daughters do this with me? Oh my God, please, please, that's my wish. My wish is that when you sign up for this, that you're watching this with your girls. And if they don't want to watch it with you, you can just send them the link for them to watch later. Please don't like take my work and share it with the world and the course you're paying in. That's not what I mean. But the women in your life, like, you need to bond together around this. And especially for your daughters, my hope is that you share this with them and that you do take this on together. So with that being said, I want to say thank you guys so much. I know there's so many other things you could have been doing tonight. So thank you for spending the time with me. Thank you for listening. And thank yourself for giving yourself the opportunity to just, open up your mind a little bit, to change your perspective. What we thought we knew about our bodies is forever changing. And this is something where you are going to have to, you got to be a student again. Like, welcome to participating in your own health and your body and your vitality. You will never unlearn any of this information. That's my final promise to you, is that whether it's just sitting here with me tonight, whether it's reading one of my posts on Instagram, following one of my colleagues, or coming into the course, it doesn't matter in which format that you're on this journey. When you learn this information and you feel it, that you've absorbed it, you will never unknow that. And the next choice you make about how you're going to treat your body and how you're going to show up for yourself will forever be changed. So don't sweat the big stuff. Don't think you have to change everything in order to change anything. It's not true. It is the small, daily, consistent habits that you create and that you stick to that are going to create the biggest level of change in your life. I promise you that. Have a beautiful sleep. Thank you all again. And I hope to see some of you in the Hormone Project. And if not there, somewhere else along this awesome journey of our female health. Have a great night.